The universe whispered a single warning, a rule unbroken for millennia. Do not wake the humans. It was not a law, nor a restriction enforced by any empire. It was something far older, a truth carved into the bones of history, passed down in hushed voices, encrypted into the deepest archives of ancient civilizations. No one questioned it. No one dared. Across the vastness of space, species had risen and fallen, each leaving behind their own legacies. Some waged wars that reshaped entire galaxies, while others unlocked secrets of time itself. But none, no matter how powerful, had ever disturbed the silent world of Earth. Not after what had happened the last time. The Zalari were different, a young and arrogant race. They had clawed their way into interstellar dominance through conquest and blood. Their fleets darkened the skies of 100 worlds. Their technology advanced enough to stand against the oldest empires. To them, myths were meant to be shattered. Taboo was a challenge. So when their scholars uncovered the warnings about Earth, they did not retreat in fear. They saw an opportunity. Superstition, their supreme warlord, scoffed, watching as the fleet descended into orbit around the long-forgotten world. A dead rock with ghosts of an extinct species. We will claim it as our own. As their ships broke through the strange, ancient energy field surrounding the planet, an unease settled over them. Their most advanced scanners returned conflicting readings. Earth was both dead and alive, empty yet impossibly dense, still yet shifting in ways their minds could not comprehend. Systems flickered. Automated AI drones, immune to organic paranoia, began transmitting strange errors. And then, the first real anomaly occurred. The Zalari flagship, a vessel large enough to eclipse a moon, detected movement on the planet's surface. Impossible. There were no life signs, no cities, nothing but the ruins of a once mighty civilization. But something stirred. Deploy the drill, the warlord ordered, unwilling to let ancient whispers dictate his fate. A planet-cracking device, capable of breaking apart entire continents, powered up and released its devastating energy toward the planet's crust. The beam struck the Earth's surface, and for the first time in countless ages, the world breathed. A low, resonant hum rippled through space. Not a sound, but a feeling, an unnatural vibration that seeped into the bones of every Zalari present. It traveled faster than light, cutting through shields, hulls, and flesh alike. For the first time in their existence, the Zalari hesitated. The silence that followed was unbearable. Then, a single word rang out, a voice that was neither transmitted nor spoken, but rather placed directly into their minds. Cold, calculating, endless, asterisk, who dares? Asterisk, the supreme warlord's breath caught. His command crew stood frozen, eyes wide with something unfamiliar. It was not confusion. It was terror. The Zalari fleet hung in silence, their instruments useless, their minds drowning in an overwhelming presence that should not exist. Every warrior, every officer, every AI construct felt it. The weight of something ancient, something beyond comprehension. The warning had not been superstition. It had been a mercy. On the planet's surface, the ground cracked open, not with destruction, but with awakening. Structures long buried beneath time began to rise. Towers of obsidian metal, humming with an energy unlike anything in the known universe, emerged from beneath the earth like giants stretching after an eternity of sleep. The drill, the weapon that had shattered entire civilizations, lay broken. It had not been destroyed by counterattack. It had simply stopped working. And then they appeared. A figure stepped forward from the shadows of the rising city. Humanoid, alone, no armor, no weapons. Just a single being standing on the barren earth, staring up at the sky, at the fleet that had dared disturb its slumber. The Zalari warlord sneered at the image on his screen. This is what we feared, a relic of a dead race. He gestured sharply. Capture it. The order was given. Gunships descended, weapons locked, shields raised. The moment they crossed into the planet's atmosphere, they ceased to exist. Not destroyed, not shot down, just gone as if they had never been there at all. Panic surged through the fleet. The warlord barked new orders, but the words felt hollow, meaningless. Officers clawed at their controls, desperately trying to re-establish command. One managed to get a targeting lock on the lone figure below. It turned its head. The targeting system melted. Not just the weapon, not just the console. The concept of targeting was erased from the ship's memory. Every database, every AI, every soldier forgot what it meant to aim at a target. It was as if the very idea had been plucked from existence. The figure on the ground spoke, though no sound was made. Asterisk, you had disturbed the silence. Asterisk, the Zalari warlord felt something constrict in his chest. He gritted his teeth, pushing past the instinct to flee. We are the Zalari Empire. We bow to no one. The human raised a single hand. The stars above flickered. Not the ships, not the fleet, the stars themselves. For the first time, the Zalari understood. They had made a mistake that could not be undone. The Zalari fleet had conquered 100 worlds. They had crushed empires, enslaved entire species, rewritten the balance of power in the galaxy. But in that moment, as the stars themselves dimmed at the humans' gesture, they realized something horrifying. They were not conquerors here. They were intruders. Reality itself began to twist. Time stuttered. For a brief, agonizing moment, every Zalari on every ship saw everything. A flood of knowledge too vast, too incomprehensible. They saw the birth of stars, the death of galaxies, the rise and fall of civilizations so ancient that their bones had turned to nebulae. And at the center of it all, standing unmoved by the chaos of eternity, was humanity. They had not disappeared, they had not been wiped out. They had chosen to sleep, because the universe was too fragile for them to remain awake. The warlord clutched his head, his vision swimming with shadows that weren't shadows at all. Around him, his officers collapsed, their minds breaking under the weight of something they were never meant to comprehend. The Zalari were not weak. They had survived void wars, neural plagues, horrors from beyond known space. And yet here, in the presence of one awakened human, they were nothing more than insects standing before a hurricane. Then, suddenly, it stopped. The weight lifted. The suffocating presence withdrew. The human was no longer on the planet's surface. It was inside the warlord's command ship. No alarms had sounded. No security barriers had triggered. It was simply there, standing in the center of the bridge, calm, its expression unreadable. The warlord tried to move, to order an attack, but his body refused to obey. Every Zalari aboard the ship remained frozen, not by force, but by something deeper, more absolute. The humans studied them with quiet curiosity, as if observing a forgotten species crawling out of the mud for the first time. Then it spoke. Asterisk, we left because we were too strong. Asterisk, its voice was not loud, yet it filled every space, every thought, every molecule of existence. Asterisk, we dreamed so the universe could heal. Asterisk, the warlord trembled, his arrogance shattered, his empire meaningless. Asterisk, and you have woken us. Asterisk, the human raised its hand once more. Across the fleet, ships began to dissolve, not exploding, not breaking apart, but unraveling, their matter returning to the raw elements from which they had been forged. Time and space bent around them, erasing their very existence as if they had never been. The warlord fell to his knees, his mind screaming for an escape that did not exist. He had thought himself a god of war. Now, he understood the truth. Gods did exist, and they had just woken up. The Zalari fled. Those who could still move, still think, still exist scrambled to escape. Their fleet reduced to fragments of what it once was. Their warships, once symbols of conquest, were now drifting husks, some frozen in time, some reversed to raw materials, others simply gone. But there was no escape, even as the survivors activated their hyperdrives, as they pushed their engines beyond safe limits. They knew something was watching. It wasn't just a lone human they had seen. It was the others. All across Earth, the silence was ending. The Zalari's retreating fleet watched in horror as the planet transformed. What had once been a dead world was now teeming with impossible structures, shifting and expanding beyond the limits of physics. Cities that had not existed moments ago now towered into the sky. Vast networks of energy pulsed beneath the surface, waking systems far older than any known civilization. And then the final blow. A message, not spoken, not transmitted, simply understood by every living thing in the galaxy. Asterisk, the dream has ended. Asterisk, it spread faster than light, sinking into the minds of every species, every empire, every godlike entity that had once dared to call itself powerful. The great civilizations of the cosmos, the ones that had ruled unchallenged for millennia, fell silent. Their leaders held emergency meetings. Their fleets stood down. Their wars forgotten in an instant, because they all knew what it meant. The humans were awake. The Zalari homeworld never received word from its fleeing fleet. No distress signals. No survivors. Just silence. And then, one by one, the lights of their empire went dark. No invasion. No retaliation. Just an absence. A reminder. The universe held its breath. Some species, in secret, debated their next move. Should they attempt diplomacy? Beg for mercy? Flee beyond the edges of the known cosmos? None could answer. None could predict what the awakened humans would do. And then the second message came. Asterisk, you have disturbed our rest. Asterisk, asterisk, do not make us remind you why we slept. Asterisk, no further words were needed. The Zalari were gone. Their legacy erased. Their existence a cautionary tale. Across the galaxy, the message was clear. The universe had one rule. And now, everyone understood why.